forward camera. Das is going to go for fourth.
What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. The off season has been far too long, but I'm so happy to be bringing you guys the first race weekend of the year, which took place in Portimao as the undercard for Formula One. Honestly, the weekend couldn't have gone much better for me. We had 3 out of 3 race wins, missed out on pole by a little bit, but we're gonna go through all of that during this recap video. I'm going to go through all the overtakes and some of the strategic elements, as well as how the new race format works with the reverse grid race, which we didn't have last year. So just to preface the weekend a little bit, this was my first time in Portimao. I hadn't even really seen the track on a simulator until about a week or so before, but everything kind of came together last minute. And luckily, it all worked out in the end. And also to make matters a little bit more difficult, because we were driving with F1 and usually right after F1 or right before F1, we had the Pirelli rubber that the F1 cars put a lot of down. And that really doesn't always mix well with the Michelin rubber that we're running on in Euroformula. So that changes the characteristic of the car from what we're used to. And it means that we have to totally adjust our setups to match the Pirelli rubber basically. But in free practice, we totally were kind of out of the window with the setup, and all the teams were, to be fair. We were all suffering with the tires basically shredding themselves apart within even just a few laps of driving, which obviously really upset the balance, because you might get one lap where it kind of feels okay, but then right after that, one end of the car is destroyed over the other. So we did major changes between free practice 1 and free practice 2, and still no luck. I mean, we improved it a little bit, and the lap time came up as the track grip was coming up, but really we had to make huge changes going into qualifying on Saturday morning. Okay, so here's a quick run through of what happened in quali. All right, so as you can see in the top left, we've got about 3 minutes to go in quali. I'm putting in a quick flyer lap here, and it's gonna be good for pole, but at this point with 3 minutes to go, we have a lot of track progression to go, and it doesn't take long before someone actually beats my time. So I'm pushing here with 2 minutes to go, have purple first sector, and then I make this big lockup into turn 11, which, you know, it's racing, it happens, but that more or less just killed my chances of the pole position. So here we have the final results of the session. I was super gutted to have missed out on pole, but P2 is a great position to start from, and I definitely knew I could work from there. So here we are in the starting grid for the first race of the season. The first one's always the most nerve-wracking one, but I knew I was only one position away from that first win of the season.
It's a good start from Louis Foster, everybody cleanly away, also well away from Rafael Villagomez, who might get the jump on the white car of Josh Mason as Cam Das challenges Foster. Villagomez slips.
Really clean getaway, but not enough to get alongside Louis, so I just slot in behind him, exiting turn 1. The camera angle kind of misses it here, but Louis locks up and goes wide, which just gives me the perfect opportunity to take the lead into turn 4. And from that moment on, I basically just never looked back. Strategy-wise, I was looking for fastest lap, but at the same time, I hadn't done a long run yet in free practice session, so I didn't know how the tire wear was going to fare. The car balance was really nice, even better than free practice and in qualifying, but it wasn't perfectly balanced, so I knew I couldn't just flat out push for the entire race without causing some sort of imbalance towards the end of the race. I think strategy-wise, that really paid off because we had good pace through the whole race and ended up finishing, I think, 9.4 seconds ahead of P2. And we also had fastest lap, which gives us an extra point. And that's the first race of the season in the books. Definitely satisfying to get the first one out of the way, but now we're on to race 2, which is a reverse top 6. There are 2 interesting strategic elements to this race. The first is that it's worth full points, which is unusual for a reverse grid race. And the second is that the fastest lap from this race will determine our starting position for race 3 on Sunday.
It's a very good start from the car of Nazim Azman, I think it is, who's going to lead into the first corner. He gets the jump from row 2.
I'm looking for the over-under here coming out of turn 1, and I almost just get alongside going into turn 2, but it looked like the driver in front of me didn't actually realize I was there, so I thought better of it and just thought I'd wait for the opportunity.
Villagomez is already Enzo Trulli trying to put a little bit of fresh.
All right, now moving on to the next lap. I'm going to try and pull off the exact same move as I did on the first lap, except now I'm able to get up alongside the other driver enough that I can make the move stick going into turn 3.
Beautifully opportunistic driving there from the American winner of race 1.
Fast forwarding a few laps, I've managed to minimize the aero wash through the last sector, and I have a really good run on the car in front. He's pulled to the inside, which just gives me the toe of the other car in front of me, which just allows me to get around him before we even get to the braking of turn 1. On top of that, we've got the fastest lap now, so it's looking good for a pole position for race 3.
Final corner, right on the rear wing of the driver.
And again, he has changed his line mid-corner exactly as you spotted last time, Elliot. And with the same effect, he draws alongside Casper Stevenson. This is really smart driving from Cameron Dass as he is alongside Stevenson. And he should be able to pick his way past the Van Amersfoort Racing driver. Indeed he does. Identical move, 2 laps in succession.
Okay, so I've made it all the way up to P2 now. I'm eyeing up a move on my teammate Nazim. He's putting in really quick laps, and it wasn't easy to catch up to him, but I think I have a really good third sector here, which will allow me to get a big toe down the straight. He doesn't have a car in front, so there's nothing to prevent me from getting a monster toe down the straight.
Certainly, but he's going to have to do his business, I would venture, on the brakes into turn 1. The camera angle foreshortens it somewhat as they head towards the first corner and out of the bubble burst Cameron Dass, and he's going to go for it, and that's a really nicely done move from Cameron Dass.
And that move gave us our second win of the day. Unfortunately, we only managed the 3rd fastest lap after 2 other drivers pitted for new tires, but 1 got a penalty, so we'll be starting on the front row for race 3. My poor teammate Nazim there on the left only had 1 race suit that weekend, and I just totally soaked him.
As the drivers celebrate with the champagne on the rostrum, we will be back.
And now we're on to race 3. Pretty docile start. Got alongside up into turn 1, but not enough to make the move stick.
So they know what to do, but it's the power of the slipstream. The car's further back, you know, they can get so much faster than the cars ahead because that hole.
Pulling clear. Here is another look then at it as Essner, he covered the inside line as he had to do. Then it was the battle on the brakes, and Essner with the inside line, he just washed out, pushed Cameron Dass out wide, and Dass would certainly say he had no option.
The commentators are exactly right. I really didn't have a choice. And not long after, the driver I overtook was then in 3rd position and then got a puncture from the car in 4th position. So if I were to give the position back to him, I'd be in last place. I didn't think I deserved a penalty, but if I were to be given one, I thought 10 seconds would be the absolute worst case scenario. So in my mind at this point, there was only one thing that was within my control, and that was put in fast lap after fast lap after fast lap, hoping to get at least a 10-second gap.
Cameron Dass, 9 seconds up the road now in 12 laps, so he's done a brilliant job so far. He is definitely on course for victory here. It would be the 2nd time someone has taken 3 wins in a Euro Formula weekend. First person who did it was Yiffier at the Barcelona season finale last year, which was a quadruple header and unprecedented for race weekend. Cameron Dass is going to follow that up in the race weekend immediately after that, because this is the first round of 2021. So you know, history being made potentially.
It has been a very, very impressive start to the season from Dass, and also because of the revised format for this year, it's not as if he started from pole to win each race. He has he's taken 1 victory from 2nd on the grid. He is on course to take another victory from 2nd on the grid, and then yesterday, 2nd race, he won from 6th on the grid. So he has to pass cars to get to the front of the field as Cam Dass, and once he's done that, then he has been able to really drive away from them and stamp his authority on the weekend. Really, really fine performance. He knows that he has done pretty much all that has been asked from him this weekend. Congratulations.
So yeah, I think that just about sums it up. Finished just under 12 seconds ahead of P2 there at the end, and I couldn't be happier with that final result to just round off the weekend. I think we even did the fastest lap on the last lap, so quite the statement, I think. Alright, so I think that just about wraps up my race weekend in Portimao. I really couldn't be happier with the results. Hope you guys learned something that you wouldn't have otherwise noticed from just watching the races. And I'm looking forward to the next race weekend, which is this coming weekend from when this video is being uploaded. And that'll be in Paul Ricard in the south of France, which is a track I've had some success at before. So really, really looking forward to that. So definitely stay tuned for more content to come. See you guys on the next one.